24th of June 2024. Welcome to Camnet Menus at 19:30 with me, Naomi Msoya. Let's take a look at stories making headlines this evening. LUSAKA man plead guilty to stealing stepdaughter for 150,000 kwacha. MTENDERE Township cries out for end to prolonged power outages. The Civil Servants and Allied Workers Union hails government's decision to introduce promotional exams. In international news, Kenyan President RUTO open to dialogue with protesters over tax hikes. In sports, FAZ rallies Zambia to victory in COSAFA championships. These and more stories coming up after the break.
With this impending drought, it's time we look to alternatives of sustaining our crops. We as ISDP are promoting irrigation and water harvesting as the solution to challenges posed by climate change. Watch our 13-week series as we unfold the solutions for our crops. Catch us every Monday at 2040 hours, repeats every Tuesday at 1910.
And now the news in detail, but we apologize for the unprecedented disruption to our news broadcast over the past 2 weeks. Despite our best efforts, we experienced a technical issue that impacted our ability to produce and air out news programs. We understand the importance of timely and reliable news, and we regret any inconvenience this may have caused. The details. Residents of LUSAKA's MTENDERE Township have emphasized the urgent need for the government to address the ongoing load shedding crisis. Speaking to Camnet News, Victor Mubanga, one of the residents, notes that while people understand the El Nino drought has caused the power outages, they are unhappy with the utility company's management of the situation. He pointed out that some residential areas are experiencing prolonged power outages, with some going without electricity for 2 to 3 days at a time. More in this report.
March 11, 2024, ZESCO Managing Director Victor Mapani announced that the company will commence an 8-hour daily load shedding after a meticulous assessment of water levels in the Kafue and Zambezi basins. And on the 24th of May, load shedding hours were increased from 8 to 12 hours per day, but throughout the period the country has been load shedded, citizens have complained about the erratic load management schedule from ZESCO. It is for this reason residents of MTENDERE are concerned about the laxity government has towards ensuring that an effective strategy is implemented around the country's load shedding crisis. Victor Mubanga, a MTENDERE resident, tells this reporter that the set schedule by the power utility company is not being followed to the latter, disrupting the day-to-day operations of members of the public.
But load shedding manje ilipo manje yapitirira malile malaiti kuyenda maro yanaenda pano 13 hours lero yaboera 08. So it's better ngubabwera pa open wakamba kuti ati malaiti yazamboenda 2 days twaziva che program twankala che nayo mumutu kuti yazamboenda 2 days ya 3 mwankala nayo mwasebenzako zanda kuti ati malaiti yaenda che time pamene simuziva manje na program yanarubana ngati malaiti yaenda ni 48 hours ngati yaenda 24 hours ngati yaenda 12 hours ngati yaenda 16 hours. Vintu vimafunika program mwabauza abantu stika nawe kuti problem ibonse to understand kuti mvula sinaloke but chamene chilipo chifunika babwera bakamba exactly kuti malaiti azamboenda time yaso.
And another resident who opted to be anonymous says the current electricity crisis is contributing to lawlessness among its youths as their small businesses are struggling to survive without electricity.
So anavara novara nasarura kajizari pira chani renti yino watu wafuna renti so ngamba kama right naye mwana shokererako naye arekeza kaidi yakabwera abwera aya ashache ikitashukire kuri tatu yaenda fuyo so tankara ni disaster mwandino akeko chenze baganze ko solution inango ngaturiko bagurisa maraiti inango bajuleko kujamaa wazi.
Meanwhile, Japhet Ngoma has urged the government to reduce the megawatts it's exporting to other countries as a measure to reduce the impact on Zambians.
Ngati vachita export maraiti that man vapereka kuti chivuko ife tivutika maraiti vachita export vapereka kuti drama zamene vachisokuti ndezamene vanhu vafunika kwauzo to ndarama zamene tichita export maraiti tichitisa ntchito zasoso setikaganza so tiganza tai government I think yarepera kusevenza so vaganzeko vinango kusevenza otherwise ivi vamene vachita ndiye vamene vizalengesana kuti vakaruzireko na ma-elections because sivafaka conserve.
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Civil Servants and Allied Workers Union of Zambia has hailed the government's decision to introduce promotional exams for civil servants. The Civil Servants and Allied Workers Union of Zambia General Secretary Makai says this move will ensure that promotions are based on merit rather than personal connections or favoritism. On Sunday, Vice President Mutale Nalumango, during the Public Service Day celebrations, said workers will be required to write exams before being promoted, aiming to promote fairness and accountability in the civil service.
We want to welcome that because we feel it is going to promote, one, professionalism, two, it is going to enhance productivity. Why do we say so? This is not the first time that such a thing is happening in this country. For those who have worked for the civil service for some time now, can bear witness to the fact that during the UNIP regime, those examinations used to be searched for by all the civil servants. And in the early days of the MMT government, that used to also be done. So now, we don't know where the government missed it, because towards the end of the MMT regime, that went quiet, and the whole 10 years of the PF, nothing of such happened. So for the European government to revive those civil service examinations, we feel it is a good move, because in the recent past we've observed that the civil service was highly politicized, and as such some people probably could have found themselves in positions not because of merit, not because on merit, but because of they knew somebody. And this is a reality because we live in this country and we know what was happening. Now, with the introduction of the civil service examinations, we are going to see a situation where seriously civil servants will have to take time to read, understand the terms and conditions of service for the public service. And when they are designated for a promotion, they should go through those exams so that they satisfy the leaders that they have the capacity and the knowledge to execute their responsibilities in a higher office.
Government says the country has seen a drop in childhood immunization rates over the past 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic, cholera outbreak and drought in some areas. Speaking when she launched the 2024 first round of Child Health Week, Minister of Health Silva Masebo says her ministry has prioritized interventions aimed at ensuring all under 5 children are protected from health mobilities and mortalities. She encouraged parents and guardians to participate in the upcoming Child Health Week taking place from June 24th to 29th, 2024 to get their children vaccinated and receive other essential health services. More in this report.
The 2024 first round of Child Health Week has June 24th been officially launched by the Ministry of Health. Speaking during a press briefing Monday, Minister of Health Sylvia Masebo says the main objective of this exercise is to reach all children everywhere in the country with all the necessary vaccines for a healthy childhood. Ms. Masebo says the Health Week will include vitamin A supplementation, deworming, providing catch-up vaccination to all children who miss their scheduled time for vaccination, weight and height monitoring, early infant diagnosis and treatment of HIV and AIDS.
So prioritized interventions aimed at ensuring all under 5 children are free from other preventable communicable diseases and nutrition deficiencies in its efforts to address preventable child health morbidities and mortalities. Is to reach all children everywhere in the country with all the earlier mentioned interventions. It is therefore important that all healthcare providers countrywide work extra hard in order to reach all the children.
She adds that despite government efforts, the country has recorded a decline in the usage of childhood immunization in the last 2 years and has since called on parents and guardians to take action in improving their children's health by taking them for all their vaccinations.
And youth. Sadly, despite these successes, the country has recorded a decline in the demand and utilization of routine childhood immunization in the last 2 years due to first COVID-19, then cholera, now droughts. This gap in immunization coverage has resulted in the recently reported threats and outbreaks of vaccine preventable diseases. Muzapeza ati bajabana bakula bwino but bajabana mesu mpeleka kuma vaccination ndiye bajabana mpeza badwala and this time bameko bwela mpepo muzapeza ka mpepo kameka bwela kali konse ni bifuba ni kosomola ka mosquito kakamuruma kangono chabe ni kudwala akangena mu dustin kudwala but bajanzana bamepeka bana ku under 5 clinic kuti bamwana watu bampase manyeleti manesi ku chipatala. Plus this time drought, it's very important to protect one.
Child Health Week is conducted twice a year as a strategy aimed at facilitating the prevention of communicable diseases such as pneumonia, diarrhea, malaria, measles and malnutrition among its children. Cherish Sibote. For Camnet News, Lusaka.
A 30-year-old man of Lusaka's Mrs. Compound has pleaded guilty for trying to sell his stepdaughter at 150,000 kwacha. Simon Silomba, a wheelbarrow pusher, admitted to a charge of child trafficking Monday morning when he appeared before the Lusaka Magistrate Court. The accused is jointly charged with the 41-year-old Martin Sichalwe, a security guard, and 30-year-old businessman Kennedy Sichiwiza. The trio is alleged to have agreed to trade the 4-year-old child to a named business for purposes of exploitation. More in this report.
A 30-year-old stepfather has found no profit in being a wheelbarrow pusher, but in his stepdaughter, aged 4 years, whom, with the help of his 2 co-accused, obtained for purposes of exploitation. Simon Silomba, a wheelbarrow pusher 30, and his co-accused Martin Sichalwe, 41, a security guard, and a 30-year-old businessman, Kenneth Sichiwiza of Mrs. Compound, are in court for allegedly seeing a lucrative business in Mr. Silomba's child and allegedly connived in stealing the child and attempted to sell it at 150,000 kwacha to a man of Lusaka's Makeni Villa area. When the trio appeared before Lusaka Magistrate Mutinta Mwenya, who asked twice for the accused to take plea, the 3 alleged child businessmen pleaded guilty to the offense of child trafficking, contrary Section 3A1 of the Anti-Human Trafficking Amendment Act No. 16, of 2022 of the laws of Zambia, prompting Magistrate Mwenya to adjourn the matter to Tuesday 25th June 2024 for reading of facts and possible sentencing. Allegations surrounding the ordeal are that between 19th and 21st March 2024 in LUSAKA's Mrs. compound, the trio, jointly and whilst acting together, obtained a child for exploitation. Other allegations are that on the material day, the child was playing at home where the three men were while the mother was busy sweeping, and the accused took advantage by allegedly going with the child to LUSAKA's Makeni Villa area and attempted to sell her at 150,000 kwacha to a buyer. The victim's mother had initially seen the husband with the two co-accused outside their yard chatting, but only got worried in the evening as the child was nowhere to be seen and decided to phone the husband, who did not answer. Later, she received a call that her child was at a police station. However, the thirst for a 150,000 kwacha business transaction could not be quenched as the person who purportedly wanted to buy the child reported the trio to the police. Child trafficking is a serious crime in Zambia with harsh penalties, and the jail term depends on the specific circumstances of the case, but if one is found guilty, may be charged for more than 5 years. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Independent Lumezi Member of Parliament Munia Zulu has told court that he believes he has committed no offense as the charge sheet contradicts the seditious practices charge against him. Opening his defense before Lusaka Magistrate Trevor Kasanda, Mr. Zulu argued that the charge sheet alleges causing public unrest, which is contrary to the Penal Code Section 57. He denied inciting people to rise against the government, stating that his message was aimed at fellow members of parliament whom he advised not to boycott the presidential address for the opening of the 13th National Assembly on 8th September 2024. This is in a matter in which the lawmaker is accused of uttering seditious words on social media, claiming the president would dissolve parliament and call for early elections. More in this report.
Outspoken Lumezi Member of Parliament Munia Zulu has Monday 24th June 2024 opened his defense in the matter. He is charged with one count of seditious practice before Lusaka Magistrate Trevor Kasanda. He told court that he is before it without an offense. The accused also argued that, according to the charge sheet, he is charged with one count of seditious practice contrary to Section 57 and wonders why he is charged with an offense that is in Section 60 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. The Lumezi lawmaker told court that Section 57 1B does not contain ingredients such as discomfort or rise against, hence denying ever committing the said offense. The accused also denied ever posting any content on social media that can be regarded as seditious and believed the charges are improperly framed, further questioning his prosecution. Mr. Zulu also revealed that he is involved in two WhatsApp groups comprising independent members of parliament and another for opposition members of parliament who had agreed to boycott the presidential address during the official opening of parliament on 8th September 2023 due to alleged injustices. He told court that he however advised his fellow members of parliament that boycotting the presidential address was not going to solve their issues, but result in punitive actions in line with the rules of the National Assembly. He insisted that his remarks were based on upholding the principles of parliamentary conduct and not targeted to any member of the public. During cross-examination, the prosecution asked Mr. Zulu to ascertain the credibility of his statement in a video where he claimed to have had credible information about the dissolution of parliament. The Lumezi lawmaker admitted making the statement but told court that the sentiments were not true and were not intended to mislead the public. He also highlighted that his role is anchored on providing oversight to the executive and addressing injustices not inciting unrest in the country. When further questioned on the credibility of some state witnesses, Mr. Zulu suggested to the court that their testimony were influenced by political biasness and personal differences. Allegations in this matter are that Monia Zulu, on September 6, 2023, in Lusaka, uttered seditious words on social media to which he claimed to have been reliably informed that the president was going to dissolve parliament on Friday, September 8, 2023, after addressing parliament, and that was going to call for early elections, words intended to incite violence or any offense prejudicial to public order. Recently, the Lumezi lawmaker was among 5 prominent political figures which were arrested for a similar offense. Trial in this matter continues. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Zambians for Unity, Peace and Development ZUPEAD has projected that the agreement between the Dante Mineral Resources and Konkola Copper Mines is an indication of operations likely to resume at optimum level. ZUPEAD President Ronnie Jere notes that the agreement sets the tone for the Dante to employ over 12,000 employees, hence the need to offer support. Mr. Jere hopes this development will also lead to increased foreign exchange and stabilization of the local currency.
Immediately, KCM begins to operate fully. What is going to happen is we know that KCM has got the potential of employing over 12,000 employees. Right now, it's struggling. Even the 3,000 employees that is employing they're still struggling in terms of making payment of salaries, etc., even paying suppliers. We've also read on social media and even mainstream media where some constructing companies they are winding up, they are closing up because they are also even relieving their workforce. They have no capacity to support the mine because they are not being paid, and so this will be the thing of the past in the next month or so. And we are excited, and we hope that even as KCM begins to operate fully, what is going to happen is we are going to see, foreign exchange, coming into the country, which will help to stabilize the kwacha. As you may be aware, our kwacha has tremendously, lost value, and this is unbecoming, and it's impacting negatively on our GDP. It's impacting negatively on our economy. Because we do not have enough foreign exchange to stabilize our kwacha.
The Department of National Parks and Wildlife has expressed concern with the recent rise in the number of incidents involving tourists who have been killed by wild animals while visiting national parks in the country. Director for National Parks and Wildlife Dominic Chiinda notes that the recorded cases are due to lack of precautionary measures and observance of the stipulated general park rules by self-driven tourists that tend to alight from game vehicles. Mr. Chiinda has urged hoteliers and tour operators to prioritize safety briefings and adherence to park rules to prevent further tragedies.
Government of the Republic of Zambia, through the Ministry of Tourism and the Department of National Parks and Wildlife, DNPW in particular, wishes to inform the general public that we have noticed with great concern the worrisome manner in which citizens have either been killed or left terribly injured, in some instances, their property damaged and the livestock killed, especially local communities living close to national parks, game management areas, and adjacent open areas by dangerous wild animals. This situation is highly regrettable by government. Government, through the ministry responsible for wildlife management, is alive to the fact that in the recent past, human-wildlife conflicts, HWCs, involving elephants and lions have continued to increase, largely due to the increased human encroachment in the wildlife corridors and dry season dispersal areas, environmental changes caused by adverse effects of climate change, and unmanaged wildfires. Lately, a number of buffer zones adjacent to national parks have also become under siege from an influx of illegal settlers. In some cases, this encroachment has extended to park boundaries. The proximity of agriculture fields to wildlife protected areas has contributed to increased HWCs by attracting wildlife.
Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbu has emphasized that the government will continue to respect democracy and uphold the rule of law. The minister assured that the government will continue to allow all stakeholders, including the opposition political parties, to enjoy the democratic space considering safety measures put in place. Mr. Mwimbu has since appealed to opposition political party leaders to refrain from making inflammatory statements to avoid causing anarchy in the country. Mr. Mwimbu made these remarks during a press briefing held today. And Mr. Mwimbu disclosed that the abduction case involving Petaoke Central Member of Parliament Emmanuel Banda is still ongoing and that the general public will be made aware of the findings at an appropriate time. CSAWUZ District Health Officer says it aims to vaccinate over 27,000 children in the district during the Child Health Week. District Health Information Officer Pendavis Chisonto highlighted that all children under the age of 5 will be offered polio vaccination, vitamin A, deworming, and nutrition assessment, among other services. Mr. Chisonto said this when he addressed stakeholders during the epidemic preparedness meeting in CSAWUZ. He noted that vaccines are important in protecting children from potential life-threatening diseases and ensure that they are healthy. Meanwhile, Luwerezi Ward Councillor Chilibwe Gondwe encouraged parents to heed the advice of health professionals and prioritize their children's health by getting them vaccinated. You're watching the Camnet TV menus at 19:30. We take a break. When we do come back, we have international as well as sports news. Keep watching.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodlands, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Did you know that you've got the right to complain against any radio or television broadcast? Did you also know that every radio or television station has an obligation to respond and address your complaints when aggrieved? The first step is to complain to the station not more than 3 months after the broadcast took place. It is expected that the station will respond reasonably to you, that is within 14 days. If not satisfied, then escalate your problem to the Independent Broadcasting Authority.
We're at Mass Media Complex, Ali King Carter Road,
PO Box 32475, Lusaka, or call us on +260 211 250589 or visit our website at www.iba.org.zm.
IBA, promoting ethical and professional broadcasting.
With this impending drought, it's time we look to alternatives of sustaining our crops. We as ISDP are promoting irrigation and water harvesting as the solution to challenges posed by climate change. Watch our 13-week series as we unfold the solutions for our crops. Catch us every Monday at 2040 hours, repeats every Tuesday at 1910.
Thank you for staying with us. The rest of the news continues in international news. President William Ruto has expressed his willingness to engage in dialogue with the youth protesting against the finance bill in Kenya. On Sunday, June 23rd, young activists aimed to prevent politicians who support the bill from speaking in churches, voicing their concerns to congregants in Nairobi. Youth protest against the public finance bill, which introduces new taxes, continue. Last week, thousands protested nationwide, demanding its repeal. Here's a roundup of international news.
President William Ruto expressed his willingness to engage in dialogue with youth protesting against the finance bill in Kenya. On Sunday, June 23, young activists aimed to prevent politicians who support the bill from speaking in churches, voicing their concerns to congregants in Nairobi. Youth protests against the public finance bill, which introduces new taxes, continue. Last week, thousands protested nationwide, demanding its repeal. According to human rights organizations, 2 young protesters died and at least 200 were injured. In Nyahururu, 200 kilometers north of Nairobi, President Ruto attended Sunday service and addressed the protests for the first time, stating that he will dialogue with them to identify the issues and work together as a nation. Protesters called for new mobilizations on Tuesday and Thursday next week. The campaign for Rwanda's July 15 presidential election began Saturday with 9 million registered voters. This election is coupled with the legislative elections for the first time. Paul Kagame, first elected president by parliament in 2000 and re-elected by universal suffrage in 2003, 2010 and 2017 with over 90% of the vote each time, will face Frank Habineza and Philip Mpayimana, his 2017 opponents. Key opposition figures like Victoire Ingabire and Bernard Taganda are barred from running due to past convictions. Diane Mwagara's candidacy was invalidated due to non-compliant document. She was previously excluded and acquitted in 2018. A 2015 constitutional revision changed presidential terms from 7 to 5 years, allowing Kagame to potentially stay in power until 2034 if re-elected. Legislative elections have been synchronized with the presidential election, with over 500 candidates vying for 80 parliamentary seats. More than 1,300 people died during this year's Hajj pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia as the faithful faced extreme high temperatures at Islamic holy sites in the Desert Kingdom, Saudi authorities announced Sunday. Saudi Health Minister Fahd bin Abdurrahman Al-Jalajal said that 83% of the 1,301 fatalities were unauthorized pilgrims who walked long distances in soaring temperatures to perform the Hajj rituals in and around the holy city of Mecca. Speaking with the state-owned TV, the minister said 95 pilgrims were being treated in hospitals, some of whom were airlifted for treatment in the capital Riyadh. He said the identification process was delayed because there were no identification documents with many of the dead pilgrims. He said the dead were buried in Mecca without giving a breakdown.
Football Association of Zambia Affairs General Secretary Ruben Kamanga has urged the national team to return the coveted trophy as they prepare to face off against Kenya, Zimbabwe and Morocco in Group B. The seven-time COSAFA champions are in Group B alongside Morocco, Zimbabwe and Kenya. They opened their account against Kenya on June 27th before playing their penultimate match against Zimbabwe on June 30th. They will continue their Group B fixtures against Morocco on July the 2nd.
It's not just about participation, it's about going there to win. You understand, guys? So, my coming here was to encourage you to work hard, listen to the instructions of the coaches. Be focused. We don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of experience. I see this team, Dixon, Saddam, a number of people that are experienced, and I see a lot of talent. Kante, where is Mulambia? Yeah, a lot of talent, really, without mentioning Tembo. So we have a very good team. I believe this team will go to COSAFA and win it. Okay, so let's go out there, guys. Work hard in the remaining 2 or so training sessions. We have a session in the afternoon. We are traveling tomorrow. You are probably training in the afternoon. Training again on Wednesday in preparation for the next game. Thursday. So, to all of you, you are representing 20 million Zambians. That should be at the back of your mind. Representing us here with Football Society of Zambia, representing 20 million Zambians. Don't let them down. Okay? Don't let them down. Come back, we receive you at the end of the trophy. So, once again, congratulations to all of you for making it to this team. I want the trophy back in my office. And getting it back, rest squared on your shoulders. You guys who are here. You have to go there, work hard, do your best, and bring it back to Zambia, because this is where it belongs. And that is why we won it more times than any other country in COSAFA.
That item brings us to the end of the news in 1930, but before we go, a recap of stories making headlines. LUSAKA man plead guilty to stealing stepdaughter for 150,000 kwacha. MTENDERE Township cries out for end to prolonged power outages. The Civil Servants and Allied Workers Union hails government's decision to introduce promotional exams. In international news, Kenyan President Ruto opened to dialogue with protesters over tax hikes. In sports, FAZ rallies Zambia to victory in COSAFA Championship. We now get to the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7. For we live by faith, not by sight. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Naomi Msoya on behalf of everybody involved in this production. Pleasant viewing. Have a beautiful evening.